We are now in consultation with the appropriate agencies like the National Intelligence Board in conducting this assessment. So again, sir, we support the passage of legislative measures that would outlaw and criminalize illegal POGO operations and thereby totally ban such POGOs and IGLs in the country. That would be all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you for that statement. And by far, I think that's the strongest statement I've heard from the NSC, that to completely ban POGOs eventually in our country. You mentioned that currently it's considered a national security concern. But you also mentioned that we're getting to the point that it's becoming a national security threat. No? Did I get you correctly, sir?
We are trying to get to the assessment that this is possibly a national security concern, because if we look at national security, we look at some elements like territorial integrity, sovereignty, social cohesiveness, political stability, and at this point in time, we do not see that happening right now. But we are, of course, as I mentioned, that we are now in consultation with the National Intelligence Board and the other agencies here to get that assessment, so that this would help the President later on come up with a better appreciation of how to look at this POGO issue, Mr. Chair.
What will it take for what scenario should happen before what scenario should happen in relation to POGO that it will be elevated to a national security threat? What type of scenarios are you looking at? Because for me, it's already, with all of these things happening, we have criminal syndicates operating in our country. We have evidence of military or police uniforms, Chinese police uniforms, Chinese military uniforms in our country. We also have, I remember reading in the news that we apprehended a hacking expert who was also connected to POGOs. He actually disclosed himself that he was once upon a time connected to POGOs. And they discovered sophisticated equipment and also ammunition and firearms in his condominium, I believe. For me, it's already all the fingerprints of a national security threat is already there. Especially the hacking expert that we discovered. In my mind, what are we still waiting for to declare it as a national security threat? All the red flags are already there, and all of those are pointing to POGOs as the origin of those circumstances. So, in my mind, ano ba inaantay natin? What are we still waiting for to elevate it into a national security threat?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Right now, the issue is handled pretty well, or we are satisfied with how this is being handled by the law enforcement and regulatory agencies. But I am taking from the statement of the National Security Advisor when he mentioned that the response to this does not yet have to include the drastic responses, for example, involving the AFP in addressing national security threats like the CPP-NPA and even terrorist threats. This is where I'm coming from the statement already given by the NSA on this regard, sir.
Okay, I understand that. My point of the matter is we are already seeing red flags. In my opinion, we should not wait for the detonation of a bigger scenario. No, I think the red flags should be enough for us to declare it as a national security threat. Nevertheless, the statement of banning it is already, for me, is a strong statement from the NSC. No, that I've yet to receive, and I appreciate that statement because definitely, if you have this type of syndicates, no, we also the pictures operating in our country. That's already, for me, that's already a very concern for me and the community. That's very concerning. No, that these people go around freely. They can do whatever they want, and with a large amount of money coming from money laundering, that's adding fuel to, or that's adding more potential to what they can do. Yeah.
The stem of the position, Mr. Chair, is that similar to what have been shared by our economic agencies. If the social costs are greater than the economic benefits, then there is no reason for us to for POGOs and IJLs to proceed.
Thank you for that. We also have some of our colleagues from the DOJ, in particular the IACAT.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and we also thank the Honorable Committee for inviting us in this committee hearing. And I speak, Your Honor, on behalf of the DOJ Interagency Council Against Trafficking, and we affirm and echo the statement as provided by the Honorable Chair in his opening statement as regards to the ramifications of these POGO operations, as well as we affirm the statement of our good USEC Cruz of PAOK. We commend PAOK as a partner of the IACAT in all its activities in raiding these illegal POGO operations. As to the operations of illegal POGOs, Your Honor, the IACAT will remain steadfast and committed in interdicting these illegal operations, as well as all the criminalities and criminal activities that goes along with these operations. And if I may comment further, Honorable Chair, there was a mention of transfer, quote unquote, of personnel from one POGO operations to another. We already consider this as an act of human trafficking. The very act of transferring from one point to another, or from one POGO operation to another, is an act of human trafficking, and it is considered as forced criminality on the part of those personnel. So with that, Mr. Chair, the department through the IACAT would also submit its position paper to this matter. This is consistent as well to our position paper that we already submitted to the House of Representatives in its Committee on Games and Amusement. Rest assured, Honorable Chair, that the DOJ IACAT shall support and heed to whatever recommendations that this committee shall provide. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Can you, Executive Director, can you elaborate the position paper that you submitted to?
Yes.
Just to spread into the record so that we'll capture it during our discussion.
Yes, Honorable Chair. The DOJ IACAT already submitted its position paper to the House of Representatives through the Committee on Games and Amusement as regards to the same subject matter as we are discussing in this hearing, Your Honor, on the possible banning of Philippine offshore gaming operations, or POGOs, or the internet gaming licensee in the Philippines. And to be consistent with that submission, Your Honor, we shall be submitting the same to this committee.
And you support the ban? Is that?
Yes, the bills we support, subject also to further review of our department. We have the Office of the Chief State Counsel, our legal department, who reviews proposed bills as well, Honorable Chair. And conversely, it is the position also of the department that we also recognize the existence of legal POGOs operating that provides livelihood or work to our Filipino personnel, but we also take note the submission of our economic managers. We defer and we submit to their statements earlier from the DOF, NEDA, as well as PAGCOR, Your Honor.
Thank you for that. Since we talked about livelihood, we'll go to Dole, who's here, and I think that's also a concern of many. Where's Dole? Ayan, sir. I think the concern of many will be the Filipinos who will be affected by the ban, no? If ever we will ban pogos. But I want to show a slide, no? Slide 28. And this is the number of employees or the number of people working in the pogo industry based on DOLE submissions. And apparently, from the heydays of pogo in 2019, the number of people working in pogo was cut in half, you know, from 118,000 to 57,000 or to 47,000 to date. And the distribution is equal, you know, almost equal, 47% for foreigners and 52% for locals. But during the heydays, 82% were actually foreigners. No? So we're generating jobs not for our people, but for foreigners. That's in 2019. No? Right now, it's equal. And but then again, no, if you talk about industries, the ultimate goal is to generate all jobs for Filipinos, no? All jobs for our countrymen. And but in this particular case, half is generated to foreigners who are here in our country working. Nevertheless, we're very concerned with the 22,000 Filipinos working in the pogo industry. And in an eventual banning of pogos, what can we extend, no, through DOLE? What can we extend to our kababayans who will be displaced with the ban in pogos? No? So, and personally, I'm also very concerned with their situation. That's why in the bills that we are talking about right now, we will be putting some form of safety net, no? In order to upskill, to reskill, in order for them to look for replacement jobs, no, in an eventual banning of pogos. No? But we want to hear from DOLE what are the programs that we can offer to our kababayans who will be displaced in an eventual ban of pogos. No?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. First, I would like to thank the chairman and the members of the committee for inviting the Department of Labor and Employment through our Secretary, Honorable Jimbinedo Ilaguisma, in this particular hearing on the banning of online gambling. We in the Department of Labor and Employment would like to express our support to the Honorable Chair for the enactment of these three bills pending. Now, insofar as we would like to inform the Honorable Body that insofar as the gainful employment of the foreign national, it is being regulated by the department under our labor code of the Philippines and its issuances. Again, we are willing and able to extend our technical inputs in the event that these three bills will be enacted. Now, insofar as the displaced, the eventuality where the employees, workers will be displaced from out of the banning of this online gaming. we in the Department of Labor and Employment is ready to provide them with our programs. One, our facilitation program. We can train them, reskill or upskill them. Then we can provide them with a livelihood program that we have, and then we can also provide them with emergency employment in the event that they will be displaced. We have TUPAD program that is catered to any displaced worker, any displaced or vulnerable worker. That's all, sir.
And we have funds for that, USEC?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
We have funds for that, and that is actually intended for the displaced workers in the event that they will be considered as displaced.
Do you have any skills mapping of these Filipinos working in Pogos? For example, what type of jobs are they into right now? What type of skills do they have, so that we can offer them upskilling and reskilling program, or we can transfer them to other similar industries? Do we have a skills profile or a job profile of this 22,000?
We do not have a particular profile of their skills, but we can provide skills training, upscaling, and in the event that they will be displaced.
Okay.
Sir.
And my staff just provided me for the TUPAD program. You have 28 billion pesos for 2024. So this is a fund that you can tap into in order for to address and to assist displaced workers. No? Yeah, but may I request from Dole to come up with a skills mapping or a job mapping of this 22,000 Filipinos who are employed in Pogos?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Actually, our regions, we have 16 regional offices. They are now undergoing the skills mapping on these Pogos that will be affected eventually by banning completely this gaming activity.
They go to your. I'm sure. I'm sure Dole has a mechanism just to profile. No, for example, are we talking about drivers? Are we talking about helpers? Are we talking about IT people? I would assume that a lot of these Filipinos working in Pogos are IT inclined, or they have some form of IT background. No? So,
Some of them, Your Honor, but not all.
yeah, just submit to
Yes,
us a profile of the skills and the type of jobs that they are into right now in the Pogo companies that they are working in.
We will do that, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that. We also invited Bureau of Immigration, another
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the DOF actually recognizes the potential impact, particularly on employment, due to a total ban, if ever, of the POGOs. If we may suggest for the consideration of the committee, if we can implement a phased-out banning of the POGO for the committee's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for that. To Bureau of Immigration, Attorney Siriban.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Any
Chair.
comments on the measures?
Mr. Chair, on the part of the Bureau of Immigration, we'd like to inform the Honorable Committee that we strongly support the proposed Senate bills for the banning of online gambling and POGO operations, Your Honor. The BI will be submitting in the next few days a position paper, Your Honor, regarding the matter. Also, in addition and in support to the statements of USEC Gilberto Cruz of PAOK, we would just like to give a quick update on the deportation of foreign nationals arrested during the operation. So as of July 8, 2024, foreign nationals that were arrested in various raid operations in Las Piñas, Hongtay, Rivendell in Pasay, Smart 12 in Pasay, Sun Valley and Clark, in Banban, Tarlac, and Lucky South 99 in Porac, Pampanga. Out of the total 3,492 foreign nationals arrested, the BI has already deported 2,313, or roughly 70% already, Your Honor. So those foreign nationals already deported are effectively already in the blacklist, so they can no longer return to the country in case of any attempt to re-enter the Philippines, Your Honor. Exclusion orders will be issued by the Bureau of Immigration to bring them back to their home country, Mr. Chair. That will be all, Your Honor.
Attorney, how much, you mentioned that you have already deported 2,300 plus individuals. How much is the cost of deportation, and who bears the cost of deportation?
Actually, Your Honor, the foreign national, or in this case, Your Honor, with the help of the PAAC, Your Honor, they are the only cost in deportation is the airline ticket, Your Honor. And they don't have to pay for any updating or extension fees in the BI, only the airline ticket, Your Honor. That's the only cost that we have to shoulder, and then we can already deport the foreign nationals, Your Honor.
But before deporting them, how long does it take to deport? Because there's a process, diba? For example, if PAOK raids and apprehends or rescued foreign individuals, it's not automatic that they will be deported. There's a process to that. No? So how long does it take for an individual to be deported? And in the meantime that they're in the country, obviously we have to feed them, we have to attend to their medical needs. Who pays for those costs? Is it BI also, or which agency bears those costs?
Your Honor, actually, it has been a challenge on the part of PAOK, Your Honor, because the legal custody of the foreign nationals arrested are with the BI. However, the physical custody are with PAOK. So they are the ones who, shoulder the food and other expenses, Your Honor. So on the part of the BI, from the time that they were referred to us, from the time of the arrest, it takes around a month or two, Your Honor, to prepare the necessary charge sheet and the deportation orders, Your Honor. So the only challenge of BI is sometimes the foreign nationals don't present their valid passports, which is a requirement in the eventual deportation. So we coordinate with the embassy, Your Honor, for the issuance of emergency travel documents, and with the help of PAOK, Your Honor, we procure airline tickets so that we can already deport them, Your Honor. So as of July 8, Your Honor, 70% has already been deported, Your Honor.
How much is that? Do you have a figure for that? That 70%. How much did the government spend for the deportation?
Well, Your Honor, with the airline ticket, usually it costs around one-way ticket to, for example, Your Honor, mainland China, around 15 to 20,000 pesos, Your Honor. So multiply it with the 2,313, Your Honor, that would be basically.
And that doesn't include the 2 months stay. Diba?
Yes, Your
Just
Honor,
1 to
that
2
does
months.
not yet include the necessary food provisions and the lodging, Your Honor. So it really costs the government already.
So my staff just told me that to deport that 2,300,
46 million.
it's about 46 million pesos.
Yes, Your Honor, around 46 million only for the airline ticket, but in addition to the food supplies and
Yeah,
other lodging necessary, so it will be added more, Your Honor. So it really costs the government to for them to stay here in the Philippines.
All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
We have also a resource person from the private sector who can enlighten us on the proposal. Mr. David Lichu, who's also was part of the previous hearings that we conducted, and I thank Mr. Lichu for his generosity in coming here and sharing his time with us. So, any comments, Mr. Lichu, I've read your report, and in the news you also made some comments on the overall property sector, and the ban in pogos. Before, no, I think during the initial phase of pogos, the ban in pogos definitely will have direct effect on the property market. I remember at one time during the heydays of pogos, pogos occupy about 45%, no, more or less, of the commercial leasable space in our country. But we also saw a different trend after the pandemic. They were building their own facilities already. No, as case in point will be in Porac and in Bamban. So we would like to be enlightened by your expert opinion on how a ban in pogos will affect the property market. Will it still affect the property market, considering that they are shifting in terms of strategy? And any thoughts on the proposals to ban pogos and also online gaming? No?
Well, thank you very much for having me over, Senator Gatchalian, and good afternoon to everyone. So, first of all, I'd like to say that it's lamentable that we have all these problems, all these social problems that is really causing us to totally ban this industry. I for one think that we are doing so at the expense of the ones that are complying with the law, because not all the pogos are defiant or in violation. But if it is the best for the country, then I suppose the only appeal is to be able to do that in a phased manner. Not so much for the property sector anymore, but mainly for the people who will lose their jobs. You mentioned drivers and maids. Well, those drivers and maids are paid 3 to 4 times what the local will pay, and for those people, they are becoming more prosperous than they were prior to the pogo sector. When I first went to Cagayan Export Processing Zone, where it was a hub for pogos many years ago, many of the locals there said that prior to the pogos' arrival there, they just fed off the sea. And so if the weather was bad, they starved. And because of the pogo, there was a level of economic activity that made them quite able to meet their needs. And I suppose if we look at what happened in Porac and what happened in Banban, very small communities where they became the largest economic driver in those areas. And the local community might have protected them until they were discovered, primarily because they were such a big economic contributor to those locations where there are very few investors. Again, it is unfortunate that we seem to attract a number of these mafia, gangster-related operations, but I want to stress that not all of them are like that. At least the ones that we have dealt business and signed deals in Makati or Pasay comply with the very strict regulations of the government. I suppose we attract all these gangsters, but as what some in the panel have said also, is that we need a sense of reflection on why we allow these gangsters to operate, and we cooperate with these gangsters. So that is probably a point of reflection for us as a community, and what drives us to do these things. I mean, it's not just this industry. If you look at sexual abuse amongst minors, we have to ask ourselves, why do parents sell their children? What drives them to those motives and to those actions? It's a big social issue. It's a big philosophical and education issue. I did notice from the gentleman from the Department of Finance that one of the costs is 500 million pesos going to enforcement of the law. And perhaps that these issues that we're going through could be partially addressed by doubling or tripling or quadrupling of that budget, because the revenues that we're generating from this industry alone can justify that multiple increase in law enforcement, whether that comes in terms of better technology or better manpower or better training of manpower. That's beyond me. As far as the property market is concerned, we think the industry still occupies 1 million square meters of office space, and this is the ones that we have tracked legitimately. The ones that happened in Bamban and Porac were totally out of our radar. But there is a benefit for the ones that are complying, and that benefit is quite significant. It's not just about the rent they pay. It's about the confidence that they instill in entrepreneurs to take risk and build more buildings. Building those buildings isn't just a matter of taking a loan. It's about building communities all throughout the country. That is one of the things that we are going to lose if we have a total and sudden ban of this market, because we're not just going to hurt the illegal operators, but we're also going to hurt the legitimate ones that are gainfully employing a lot of people. Yes, I do abhor the social ills that are attached to this industry, but that is primarily driven by people who shouldn't be here in the first place. And I think a big portion of that solution is about better enforcement that may or may not be solved by more funding. I don't know. I also would like to propose that the POGO sector, or the BPO segment of the POGO sector, isn't just about China. Australia, Japan, US, Canada are very big gambling markets, and we can benefit from that by trying to entice them to set operations here, and hopefully they will be more compliant than their Chinese counterparts. There is a very big market that we will forgo that will bring investment here, legitimate investment, if we just shut them down altogether. Lastly, I think the benefit of a if we do proceed with banning the POGO sector and the online gaming sector, then a staggered process will make it easier for developers to find replacement tenants, because there's 18 million square meters of office space today all over the country. 18 million. The POGO sector only occupies 1 million square meters. At the height, it was probably 2 million square meters. At the most that they occupy is about 1 million square meters. Maybe the stragglers and the illegals and the big POGO hubs like Porac are few and far between. I don't think there are the majority of the cases. I defended the POGO sector quite vocally in the last 3 years, primarily because of the economic benefits that we could not lose. In my opinion, we could not afford to lose during the pandemic season and the process as we exited from the pandemic. Now, 4 years after, with less office space overhang, there's still 3 million square meters of office space vacant all over the Philippines. If we remove this altogether, that will add another million at a time when the property market is trying to recover from this crisis. Why is this so important? Because the Philippines is in a very, very enviable position as far as the office market is concerned all over the world. Today, the office market in the US, the office market in Canada, the office market in Western Europe, the office market in Australia are all being destroyed right now because of the effects of the pandemic, work from home, high interest rates, high inflation. They're being destroyed at the moment, and that's producing turbulence in the banking sector. The Philippines is one of the few countries where demand is still growing net positive. And we have to be quite thankful for that. And if we are going to shut down a large portion of this demand driver, then I would encourage that we do so in a processed manner and not just abruptly. I don't think that shutting this sector will dramatically and negatively impact the property sector, and I don't think that will lead to anything larger that will impact the banking sector, unlike what we're seeing in most parts of the world. But we also have to appreciate what we actually are enjoying from this segment of the market. And again, I say that as I abhor the social ills that a number of illegal operators are doing. And again, I would rather that we try to find a balance there. But I do agree that if we cannot seem to regulate and enforce the law properly, then I guess the easy way out is just to ban the industry altogether. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Mr. Lee Chu, you mentioned earlier there's still existing POGO companies leasing space of about 1 million square meters. Is that correct?
More or less, sir. We think it's at least 700,000 square meters, so as much as 1 million.
In your observation, are they still expanding? Meaning, are they still leasing spaces?
Yes.
Are they contracting?
A number have contracted. Some are expanding. Very, very few are expanding. And so I think net the industry is still shrinking.
Okay. And then the space that they left, this POGO companies or the overall industry is shrinking. So they free up space. What industries are taking up those spaces?
Because of the contraction of the POGO sector, the rents have fallen quite dramatically in the Bay Area, as an example, in this area, in where we are. And that's allowed government agencies to upgrade their offices. So the Department of Foreign Affairs, the Department of Trade and Industry, the NBI have all just taken brand new leases recently at quite preferential rates because of the cheaper rents, and it's allowed them to upgrade their offices to much better facilities. The other thing is some of these spaces are taken up by the BPO sector. The BPO sector still is the largest demand driver for office space.
Do you think that prices have already fallen to a much more reasonable and acceptable level? Because during the past, especially in 2019, complaints were, I'm sure you've heard this, but there are a lot of complaints that because of the rapid expansion of POGOs, they took up a lot of the office spaces as well as residential spaces at a premium, because they can offer much higher rates, both for residential and for commercial. And it eventually pushed out small businesses as well as even legitimate big size businesses or businesses that who have been there for a long time. So I was looking at some of the reports, including your reports, that lease rates have fallen because a lot of them have left or are not expanding, but fallen to a point that it's reasonable for corporations to take up the space, and also, like you said, no, government agencies to expand their offices. So my question is, has it reached the equilibrium of, or has it reached the reasonable level in terms of lease prices?
I think that it's always a balance between investors that are happy with rent and tenants that are willing to pay rent. I think we're beyond the point where it is reasonable for developers to keep building. So the rents fell because of two reasons. One is that the POGOs contracted dramatically during 2020 to today. But the second reason is the cheap money from all the QE that governments did all around the world brought interest rates to record lows, and that propelled developers of all kinds to develop office space, way too much office space for us to absorb. We predicted that to happen in 2016, but the POGO sector came in to sweep up all that vacant space. And so the process of this oversupply that we're going through right now actually was delayed by 4 years because of the POGO sector. So that's been a tremendous benefit, and that's why now that things are more stable, so we don't have 4 million, we now have only 3 million square meters of vacant office space. We're hoping that the demand from both the traditional businesses and the BPO sector will continue to absorb spaces. So rents should be a lot lower than they are today, but they are not because the developers continue to be resilient. If a crisis knocks down that resiliency, then you will see rents crash through the floor. But already, because of the low rents, it does not make it viable for developers to build more space. The confidence level of developers today is very low. That's why you see the pipeline of office and construction in general to drop in the next 5-7 years. So if we are trying to estimate the impact of this industry, we have to quantify and factor the amount of space that could have been built in many undeveloped areas but are not being built because of the low confidence levels of developers. And as a summary, that confidence level is because they are afraid about the demand, the uncertainty in demand, and second, the low rents because of the high vacancies. So these are the two things that we have to factor. Today, as rents are low, we probably have 3 to 5 years worth of vacant office space today. So it will take 3 to 5 years to achieve equilibrium in the office sector. Some districts faster than others. But what this will actually do is it will impair development of many places outside of Manila. And that's something that we can't quantify. Money that could have spilled over to the provinces are not going to happen.
In case, I know that there's excess capacity right now. You mentioned about 3 million. In case, assuming we push through with the proposal to ban POGOs, and so the effect there is 1 million of space will now be freed up. Which industry can take up that 1 million plus 3 million? And I'm assuming that prices will further go down, obviously. No?
Yes, sir.
But from your experience, what industries can replace those freed up spaces? And I say this because I noticed that POGOs also occupy a unique office space. No, I would assume. No, they're not the typical office space. Probably they're like a BPO, no? They're one big floor, and it's probably a IT oriented building. So I say that because I want to understand also what type of industries can replace those office spaces that they will be leaving.
At this moment, sir, I only see the traditional offices and BPOs taking it up, and if that's the case, then it will still take 3 to 5 years, 3 years at best, 5 years to achieve equilibrium. Although I think by 2028, 2027, vacancy rates will be closer to between 8 to 10%, and that should give it some level of balance already. But it's only then that developers will start saying, okay, vacancies are okay now, let's start building. And then you won't feel the impact of that until the buildings are up 2 to 3 years after. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Mr. Lichu. And let's call on the ICT. I think we've heard a lot of the comments, engineer and attorney.
Yes, good afternoon po. Good afternoon po, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I'm Gladys De Ocampo from the ICT. And on our part, we fully support the bills stated. And as the ICT po, to address yung concerns kanina, as the ICT, we can create the policies and the guidelines for which to support the banning of the POGOs. And the concern of USEC Cruz po, when it comes to registered SIMs na po, yung mga fake identities, I do understand that NTC, in practice currently, with the SIM Registration Act, all the telcos are do implement this live selfie capture, facial liveliness check. So lahat po sila nagko-comply doon with it when it comes to SIM registration. I think there are several pa. May facial recognition and matching pa po. And then optical character recognition. Of course, yung disabled stock photo upload. Yung mga pagka i-upload po yun nasa photo lang, hindi po pwede siya. Tama ba, sir? Attorney. And to also address naman yung virtual asset concern when it comes to NBI, we have the CICC that could, they have digital forensics po that could probably trace itong mga virtual assets, yung movement. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, as the ICT, we could create the guidelines. Currently po, we work with other agencies, no? When it comes to telcos, when it comes to SIM registration, we cascade with NTC. So when it comes to digital privacy, mga breaches po, we cascade with NPC. And when it becomes a cybercrime, so sa CICC po tayo. All others, syempre, I come from the Cybersecurity Bureau. Currently, we are coordinating with all agencies para sa kanilang computer emergency response team. If you're familiar with it, of course, we are also trying to draft yung Cybersecurity Act for protection naman po ng ating cyberspace. But among others, pagka po may concern si na agency when it comes to digital transformation or security on cyberspace, nakikipag-coordinate naman po. And we do assist with the creation of their guidelines specific to their offices. Yun po, sir.
Well, the biggest elephant in the room is the SIM card registration implementation. I think we've seen that we had a lot of high hopes when that law was signed, but it seems to me that it's still far from ideal. I think all of us still get a lot of nag-offer ng condo, nag-offer ng loan. I still get that a lot. But the most glaring violations were the ones discovered by PAOK during the raids. I'm sure you've seen it, no? And I've seen it personally. So, what can we do to stop? You mentioned some safeguards, no, that are being implemented. But have you reviewed whether the telcos have actually implemented those safeguards and have actually only registered legitimate persons?
If I may, Mr. Chair, i-refer ko na lang po sa ating NTC representative po.
Sige, go ahead.
Kay Attorney Castel.
Attorney Castelar.
po.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. In 2023, NTC issued Memorandum Order 10-9-2023 and directed the telcos to adopt the latest technologies in their SIM registration platform. And after more than 6 months, the NTC has been validating that these live selfie captures, facial liveliness, disabled stock photo upload, facial recognition and matching, and optical character recognition has been adopted by the telcos. But we've also noticed that, as reported by our regional offices, there are still instances where SIMs are being sold and irregularly registered as assisted by the sellers in the provinces, Your Honor. And so that's why there's still a need to tighten, I think, and also monitor the performance of the telcos as they comply with Memorandum Order 10-9-2023.
So, in other words, only legitimate persons can buy SIM cards right now.
No, as of now, Your Honor, anybody can buy a SIM card, but they
Correct.
should follow the registration process under the SIM registration law. And the telcos should provide an electronic platform for the telcos to, for the subscribers to register safely and securely, and also to prevent irregular registrations.
Yeah,
of
correct.
SIMs.
Because the problem, I think we had a hearing on this one time and I remember yung mga unggoy, diba? Unggoy, elepante, pwedeng bumili ng SIM cards No? So
that was the
that-
infancy stage, Your Honor, of
Yeah, but
the
now,
SIM registration.
because of the technology you mentioned, that is not possible anymore?
We have
Only legitimate
validated.
persons?
We have validated that, Your Honor, in the NTC, and right now the stricter protocols are in place.
Okay.
So let's say a stock photo cannot be uploaded to serve as the registrant sa identity. Now it has to be an actual live face that's blinking, that's moving, and of course it will no longer accept non-human registrants.
Those SIM cards recovered by PAOK, thousands of them were recovered. Have you investigated on how they were issued? I think we should also learn from those experiences so that we can prevent. Because I'm trying to imagine, how can one person or several persons be issued thousands of SIM cards and get away with it? I mean, that should be a red flag already. No? Of course, the telcos will sell SIM cards to anyone, no? Because that's revenue. But from a regulator standpoint, that should be red flag. That should be a red flag already that should trigger some form of investigation or some form of warning.
As we have observed, Your Honor, Mr. Chair, based on several meetings with the telcos and seeking their inputs on the findings of the PAOK and other agencies, we have determined that the so-called pre-registered SIMs are actually irregularly registered SIMs, either by the buyers or perpetrators of scams, or maybe they they were able to acquire it through vendors that have registered it irregularly. Maybe taking advantage of the earlier registration platform that was quite unprepared and lax by them before the adoption of the artificial intelligence and other technologies that will now tighten the the online registration platform.
All right. Well, it's good to hear that. I hope those thousands of SIM cards will be the end of it, no? Because the SIM cards became the accessory for scamming. Eh. That's the choice of weapon, no, to scam individuals, no? And we've seen that on the ground, no? And that's why we have to learn from that experience. No? Hopefully, the technologies that you mentioned will put an end to this type of criminal activities. No? Hopefully. Now, I also heard from Engineer Ocampo that you support the bill. Diba? And the bill calls for banning of online games, no? Online gaming,
Yes, Your
including offshore and domestic taking of bets. Now, earlier during the discussion with PAGCOR, shutting down websites is a very complex activity. No? It's para siyang cat and mouse. No? It's a cat and mouse activity. And of course, the government agencies rely on DICT for this. I don't think PAGCOR or any government agency can do it on their own. They have to go through DICT, as I understand it. Can we do it? For example, if we ban online gaming, and then all of these guys go underground and all of these guys go gray market, and then we will ask the ICT to ban it. Can you do it? Can you ban the 7,000 websites mentioned before? Or we might just end up with, all of them going underground, and we have a bigger problem of enforcement. So
It's a possibility po, Your Honor. But then in practice po, NTC do ban websites, but this it requires a bit of trigger. Now, these bills, if banned po ang POGO, it will provide a legal reference or legal trigger for NTC to block these websites. In practice po, mayroon tayo from the OSAIC, SISAM Act. So, pagka po meron child pornography, i-request po or ikakascade kay isisend kay DICT for blocking dahil po merong na-prove na crime na nagawa si website. So, ikakascade po namin kay NTC. So, si NTC po mag-issue ng memorandum kay ISP to block this website. So, we have also yung anti-voyeurism, and then yun po. So that's the process that we do in lack thereof ng mandate ni DICT na mag-block directly. So with this bill, if we are actually banning this